This video is to help us with the area, volume, and surface area worksheet. We're going to start with part 1, which is finding the area of odd shapes. All right, when we have an odd shape and we need to find the area, the best thing to do is split it up into smaller shapes that you know how to find the area. So in this case, we have a triangle and we have a rectangle. So we're going to find the area of the triangle and the rectangle and add the area together. So let's start with the easy part, which is the rectangle. So if we're going to find the area of a rectangle, area is length times width. So our length in this case is 6 and our width is 4. So that means the area inside the square is 24. Now we need to find the area of the triangle. To find the area of a triangle, it's pretty similar to finding the area of a rectangle. It's just every triangle is half of its corresponding rectangle. So you just go the base times the height, or length times the width. But in a triangle, we like to use base times height. And then we just divide it by 2. So what we need to find with this triangle is how high it actually is. What is the height? Because we already know the base of my triangle is 6. We already know that. So we've got to figure out the height. We know that the height of the house from bottom to top is 10. And the height of my rectangle was 4. So that means here it is 10 minus the 4 is going to be the height of our triangle. So if we look at our triangle, we have 6 and we have a height of 6. So we're going to go base times height divided by 2. So my base is 6, my height is 6, and we will divide that by 2. 6 times 6 is 36. Half of 36, or 36 divided by 2, is 18. Now that we have this information, we will be able to actually find the total volume. So we go the volume of the house, which is 18, or the roof, sorry, or the triangle, and we're going to add the volume of the rectangle, which is 24. 18 plus 24 would be 42. And it's centimeters squared because area is always in squared units. Let's look at the second question. All right. This next shape is a little bit different, but it's got the same idea. We have 2 shapes that we can split it in. So we've got this and we've got the triangle. Now the other thing we could do here is we could find the area of the total thing and just subtract this area out. That's also a possibility to subtract an area out. But I think in this case, this triangle is pretty easy, so I think that we can find the area of the rectangle and then the area of the triangle, and it'll be pretty simple. So what we are going to do is first let's find this area of the rectangle here, and that's just once again length times width. So my length is 3 and my width is 5. That would be 15, and it's feet squared. Then we need to find the area of the triangle. So our triangle here would be a height of 5, but it's kind of hard to figure out what the bottom base is. So we've got to figure out the base. We know that our total length is 5, but if we take off that first part up there, that's 5 minus 3. 5 minus 3 gives us 2. So 2 is the base. So if we want to find the area of the triangle, it is equal to base times the height divided by 2. It's important to interchange words like base and height with length and width. They mean very similar things, and in context here, it would work out if you interchange them. So our base is 2, our height is 5, and then we are going to divide that in 2. So 2 times 5 is 10. 10 divided by 2 is 5. And that's feet squared. So we have here 15 feet squared for the rectangle and 5 feet squared for the triangle. And if we add those together, we get 20 feet squared would be our final area. All right, this is the second part of the worksheet, and this says answer the questions about the shapes. So let's start with question 3. It says, what shape is the base of this prism? So if it's a prism, the opposite sides that are the same would be the base shape. So that means these right here that I'm coloring in, these pink shapes, are the bases because they are the parallel sides or the opposite sides that are exactly the same. So that shape of this prism is obviously a triangle. All right, so once you get what shape that is on the base, we need to actually go and find the area of our base. This should have a little right angle so we know that that 4 is the height, but we are okay to assume right now. So we need to find the area of this triangle that has a base of 3 and a height of 4. So we just learned that formula, or we at least worked with it. We have our base is 3, our height is 4 of our triangle, not the height of the prism, but the height of the triangle is 4. And then we divide that by 2. So 3 times 4 is 12. 12 divided by 2 is 6. So the area of my base is 6. Okay, now we want to find the height of our prism. So remember that the height is not necessarily how high something is. It's the distance between our prism, or between our bases, sorry. So every distance between our base is the same distance away. So that tells us right there that our height of our prism is 6. And the last thing we need to do with this prism is find the volume. The volume is equal to the area of the base multiplied by the height. So we have the area of the base multiplied by the height is equal to our volume. So we have all that information. We have the area of our base right here is 6. We have the height of our prism is also 6. So if we want to actually find the area or the volume, we just go volume is equal to the area of our base, which is 6. Let's do it in the right color. 6 multiplied by the height, which is also 6. So 6 times 6 is 36. And since this is a cube, or a prism, or volume, it is in meters cubed. All right, our next problem follows the same idea. This one's actually a little bit easier because they give us this area of our base. So the first thing we need to do is we need to figure out what shape is the base of my prism. And there's actually a couple answers we could say. There are 4 sides, so we could say it's a quadrilateral. Or if you happen to know this, it is also a trapezoid. So either one of those answers is sufficient. A quadrilateral just means any shape with 4 sides. A trapezoid means the top and the bottom are parallel, even though the sides are not. So that's the first part, is that the base of our prism is a quadrilateral. The next part here is the area of our base. And they tell us this. They give us the area of our base is 16 feet squared. If they didn't give you the area of the base, that's okay. You can still find it by doing the previous problems where we found the area. So using whatever strategies you can to find that area. But we're lucky. This problem gave us the area. We also need to know the height, or the distance between our 2 bases. The distance between our 2 bases is 9 feet. And the last thing we need to know here is our volume. So once again, volume is equal to the area of the base times the height. So we have 16 times our 9, and 16 times 9, that gives us 144. And since we have volume, our unit is feet, and whatever our unit is cubed. So there is our volume. Part 3 tells us to find the surface area of the net of the prism. So we don't actually have the full prism yet, even though if we cut this out, we would be able to piece the pieces together to create a prism. The net of the prism is a 2-dimensional representation of the surface area. Now there's 2 ways we can do this. We can either find the area of each of these pieces, which is perfectly sufficient if you want to find the area of each of the shapes. Or we could find the area of the net, of the rectangle on the net. So there's always a giant rectangle when we have a prism. So we can find the area of that pink giant rectangle, and then we just need to find the area of the base. And the cool thing is with bases, they happen to always be the same when we're talking about a prism. So let's start with the giant rectangle because that's the easier part. It's a rectangle, so that means the area is length times width. So my length is 1, we can just count that out, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. My length is 14. My width is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So area is equal to 14 times 5, which would be 70. So the area of my big rectangle is 70. Now we need to find the area of our little squares, or our little triangles. They are not squares. So I have 2 of them. That's nice to know. But it's a triangle. So the area of a triangle is base times height divided by 2. So our base is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And our height is 3. And we just divide that by 2. 6 times 3 is 18. 18 divided by 2 is 9. So the area of that triangle is 9. And because bases are the same in a prism, the area of that triangle is 9 too. So we have 70 plus 9 plus 9. 9 plus 9 is 18. 70 plus 18 is 88 units squared. And it's units squared because it's an area. Area is always just squared. Okay, this next one, here, 6, same idea. We can find the surface area by just finding the area of the two bases here. They are the bases because it's what there's two identical of. And then finding the area of the rectangle inside. So let's start with the little rectangles. Area is equal to length times width. So my length is 2 and my width is, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2 times 5, piece of cake, that's 10. So the area of each of my green smaller bases is 10. Now we just need to find the area of the base or of the bigger rectangle of my net. So same thing, length times width. My length is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. And my width is 1, 2, 3. And if you counted those the other way and made your length 3 and your width 14, that is okay. They are interchangeable from each other. So we've got 14 times 3 is 42. And we want to find the surface area of this. We add the big rectangle and the two bases that are rectangles. And we get 62 units squared. If we don't know the unit, we just say units squared. And that is our surface area. It's in units squared because it's an area. Area is squared units. Volume is cube units. All right, to do these problems, there were 2 mistakes on this that I need to correct. First of all, we need to know that this triangle was a right angle. We also needed to actually know this length right here because we're finding surface area. If we were finding volume, we wouldn't need to know that length. But in this case, we do, and it is 14 or 14.1 something, but we will just say that that length is 14. Okay, now that we know that information, I want you to think about what is the base of this shape. So our base is this triangle. The triangle is on both sides, so that means that is our base. If we are going to sketch out the net of the shape, we have on the top and bottom, we have a triangle that is 10 and 10. Okay, so I actually moved the other problem so we can do this a little cleaner. So we've got that triangle, and then on the other side we have the same triangle. That's for our net. Then I have this base that is in between my 2 triangles. So that's going to go right here. The length of this base is 10, and the distance between that is 12. It's important to know all the different measurements because that's going to help us find the area of the pieces. Okay, then we have this yellow piece here on the left side. That base here is 10, and the height of that rectangle is 12. And then the last piece we have here is this green piece here. And that is going off of the other side. So if we were to cut our prism up and pull it apart, this is the two-dimensional shape we get from it. The base here of this green shape, or the length, this is the 14. That's the diagonal there. So this is definitely not drawn to scale. And then my height is also 12. So there is my net with the given three-dimensional shape. All right, so what we want to do is we're going to find the area of the two shapes. I'm making a darker with the dark black. Okay, we've got the triangle, so we need to find the area of the triangle. And we need to find the area of the large rectangle. So let's start with the triangle. I actually think that might be the easier one here. So area of a triangle is base times height divided by 2. So we've got 10 times 10 divided by 2. Leo, what is 10 times 10 divided by 2?
10 times 10 is 100. 100 divided by 2 is 50.
Yeah, that was a cameo by Leo. So the area of our triangle is 50. So we got 50 and 50 here. Then we have our larger rectangle we need to find the area of. So we've got here to find the length. So the length of my rectangle is 10 plus 10 plus 14. 20, 34. And my height is 12. So the area of a rectangle is length times width. So we've got 34 times 12. All right, and then if we ask Siri what that is, it's 408. And then to find the surface area, the total surface area will be our triangle areas. So we've got 50 plus 50 for both triangles. Don't forget both bases, both triangles. Plus the area of the giant rectangle, which is 408. 50 plus 50 is 100. 100 plus 408 is 508. And we're finding an area, so it's inches squared. Now let's go on to the last problem. All right, here is the last shape we are going to find the surface area of. This one's a little bit harder. I tried to make it so we couldn't quite see what the back side of the shape is, but that doesn't change anything at all. This is still a prism. So our prism has a base that is like an L shape. So we've got one on the front and an L shape that is also in the back. I don't know. We've got to do the net for this. That's going to be the fun part. So we've got here this little L shape. Okay, so we've got that 5. We also have this 2. This right here is 5. This is 2. And we actually don't have these things, but we can find them. because if this is 5 and this is 2, then that would be 3. Okay, so let's draw that out. We've got the 2 and the 3 and the 3. So that is our base. In fact, it's our base on the top and the bottom. 5, 5, 2, 2, 3, 3. Now, we have the base or the shape that goes in between them. So we've got this shape right here. That height is 8 and our base is 5. Then we have this shape right here. We know that that length is 2 and this is 8 again. Then there's a shape on here we can't see. It's actually, if we were to draw this out, it's on top of this L part. If we do that, that's 3 here. And my height is going to be 8 on all of these. That's the nice thing. Then we have this shape right here, which is also a face of this, which has got a base of 3 also. Then we have the shape on top, which we can't see. So there's an imaginary shape on top. It's not imaginary, but we've got that. That length is 2. And then we have on the very back side here a face that's like right there. And we'll put it on this side. That length is 5. So there is our wild, out of control, crazy, silly net that we've drawn. We've got this rectangle here, and we have 2 bases that are the L shape. Not too many problems will get harder than this problem. This is very tricky. So I'm going to start by finding the length and the height, or the length and the width of my big rectangle. I think that's actually the easier part. So we've got 5, 5, 2, 3, 3, and 2. 5 plus 5 is 10. 2 plus 3 is 5, so that's 15. 3 plus 2 is 5, that's a 20. So my length is 20. My width, that was easy. The width is easy. The width is 8 all the way around. So the area of the rectangle is my length times my width. 20 times 8 is 160. Now, we need to find the area of the L. I'm going to just break that up into 2 shapes. I'm going to break it up into this rectangle, which is 5 times 2 is 10, and this rectangle, which is 3 times 2, which is 6. So the area of my L shape is 10 plus 6. So I have 16, and I have it on the top and the bottom. So the total area is just 160 plus 16 plus 16. And if we add those together, we get 192. And it's in centimeters squared. There we go. That is the surface area of that shape. We've got to find the area of the base and the area of the big rectangle formed from the net, and then we have the total surface area. In this case, I feel like the volume would be easier than finding the surface area. And actually, that's most cases too.